Oh,
We are here with US in the motherfucking building.
Legacy. Yeah, nigga.
What's going
yes,
on?
sir.
So
Free.
what's it called? The Zeigarnik theory? Tell people about that shit. This sounds like some nerdy shit, but let's go in.
Listen, we teach and we educating today.
You sound like the nigga from The Simpsons. Nerdy nigga. Like, whoa.
That theory comes from procrastination. So what it means is a lot of people develop procrastination and find, things to distract them from doing the things they need to be doing. Meaning, it ties into the psychology of money. So meaning at the end of the day, you got something to do, but you're doing everything else instead of what you need to do. So if you got if you get a project at a job, instead of completing the project, you're playing on your cell phone, you on Instagram, you on Facebook. Essentially, you're doing everything else but what you need to do to get the task done.
Right.
Why? Because, a lot of people got anxiety these days. Anxiety is a big factor into that theory, where you let your anxiety take over you. You don't get the job done. So the point of today's show is like, you got to get the job done. You got to take away the distractions and you got to get started. And the hardest part of that theory too is that you have to actually get started. That's the number one reason why people don't finish stuff, because you don't get started. That study shows that at minimum, if you get that task started, you're more likely and more compelled to get the job done versus you just BSing. It's that person that's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, not tomorrow. It never gets done. Tomorrow turns into a week turns into a month turns into a year. That's the point behind that theory. It's pretty much procrastination.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Well,
I think that.
Now go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say that the thing is, a lot of times people avoid doing certain things because in their mind the task seems way more daunting and complicated than the task actually is. So,
right.
So the thing is the procrastination a lot of times comes from the fear of having to actually take action and do the things that need to be done in order to get certain things happening. But the funny part is that when you actually do the thing and you do the task, it's not as crazy as you thought, because in your mind it's always going to feel a certain type of way versus how it actually is in like reality. You know what I'm saying?
And that's interesting, because how they say that success is a person failing a bunch of times. That's all success is, and you finally getting it right. So I think that the fear of succeeding is the issue, right? So then people are afraid of the money because they're afraid of the success. Because the success, now you have to be held accountable and responsible of that achievement. And most people are, they don't want to take that action. They're afraid to do so. So then, as a result, they're afraid of money. Almost like, how people say, oh, money is the root of all evil, right? And so they're associating that concept, that ideology of money is evil. So then they're never really, set forth to actually achieving whatever goal that is financially. So it literally messes with their brain. And it's because it's a mindset thing at the end of the day. That's why somebody who's already rich can go broke and become rich again, because it had necessarily nothing to do with the actual dollar, but it's the mindset of that person and what they had. And the opposite side of the spectrum too. If somebody won the lottery, right? Let's say if they won $500,000. Let's just say they won $1 million in the lottery.
Right.
It's only a couple of more years before that person goes broke again.
Right.
So that's the deep lining behind it is that I think people are afraid of the success. They're scared of the idea of being successful because of what it comes with.
Hey, hold on. Y'all sure this is spelt right? Zeigarnik?
I'm trying to look it up. I think it's spelled a different way. I think it's.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
It probably is spelled a different way. I just know that's how you pronounce it.
He didn't do the job of actually spelling it right.
There you go. You ain't lying. So I kind of say in effect, live in person.
It's Zeigarnik.
Yeah, I think that is it. That is it. Yeah. That is it.
Spell it.
It's Zeiganrnik.
And
Yeah. So Zeig.
oh, Zeigarnik. Is there Zeigarnik theory?
Right.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ. Come on, man. God. we have to put the title of the show. It goes on YouTube, bro. Seriously. I mean, we could change it later, but while we're on the show, I don't know if we could change it.
I'm gonna change it right now. I'm changing it on the StreamYard. So maybe
On the StreamYard, okay, yeah.
maybe it'll change right now. Hold on, let me see.
Goddamn Negroes. It said, well, people tend to remember unfinished interrupted tasks better than completed ones.
Right.
And it's crazy because, this theory is a true thing because, with us working with people with credit, that's a big one right there, man, where we work with people and people make a mountain out of a molehill. Because you start to think about it from a credit standpoint, the person's like, oh my God, my credit's so bad. I did so much bad stuff in my early 20s. I just can't get over it. So when we approach these clients, now they're just in this deep fear, in this deep level anxiety. And it's just like, I don't think it's going to work. How much is the credit going to cost? How long is it going to take? Can you really help me? You know what I mean? And then they push it off. We'll literally have somebody that come to us on New Year's Eve tip, January 1st, New Year, new me. I'm trying to fix my credit and disappear for 6 months. Then come around June and be like, I'm back. I'm sorry. Things got out of control. But let's get started. And then wait another 3 months before they get started and wasted 9 months before they initially started, just to find out that they could have been a way further ahead. The perfect example with this theory was I had a guy where, one of my boys I grew up with, whatever the case was, and, he was like talking about his credit. So he called me, asked me a random credit question once or twice a month. We played this game for a year and a half, only to find out he had one thing on his credit and his credit score was 650. So he wasted an entire year and a half to fix one thing that cost like $200 to fix on his credit, would have been in the 700s, and waited a whole year and a half just playing games again with that same type of theory of procrastination. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
Even on the life insurance side, I had a client, him and his uncle, they had a policy, right? So the person I knew, he was paying for his uncle's policy. They missed, I think, like 3 payments on the policy. So I was telling him, like, listen, just make sure you make those payments because you don't want the policy to lapse, because if it lapses, it's going to be hard for the uncle to get coverage again because of his pre-existing conditions. So I said, don't let the policy lapse. He ended up missing the payments. He didn't pay it on time. I tried to get it reinstated. He's in the midst of getting it reinstated. Now, keep in mind, when the policy lapses, when the policy is trying to get reinstated, by definition, it lapses. So you can still get it reinstated, but currently it's not active.
Right.
The uncle ends up passing away in that process. Right. And it's unfortunate because he had $100,000 policy. The only thing that the insurance company did was return the premiums which is a payments that was put into the policy, that was returned back to the nephew, which is one of my boys. But outside of that, he didn't receive that $100,000. Why?
He's actually lucky he got that back.
100%, absolutely. And to your point, he was super lucky to get that back because they paid what he received back. It still wasn't enough to cover the funeral, but it was enough to at least put something on top of what the funeral cost, right? And the reason why I'm saying this is because of the procrastination, of thinking that nothing is going to happen, and it's all psychological. If he would have, just listened and said, make that payment, maybe don't pay this for right now, pay that policy because this is how important it is, that wouldn't have happened, so these are the things that,
So I'm trying to connect the Zeigarnik theory. So basically what it is that it's a focus on procrastination, or it's a like a result. It's a theory that results in procrastination. Is that what we're saying?
Correct.
Okay,
People
so
build up in their head.
but then the rest of the title that you guys gave us, but I just want to be clear, these guys, they gave us the title. Is psychology of making money. So how do we connect the two? How do we look at, what message were we trying, or what message were you trying to connect when we was, as far as looking at procrastination or looking at things that was halfway done and the actual psychology of making money? How do we connect the two?
Yeah, we connected it too based off of, the examples that we gave where your procrastination costs you money by procrastinating and costs you the opportunity to make money. In those examples, that's literally what happened. In Kay's example with the life insurance piece, the procrastination of actually paying that bill, knowing that he could have paid it, knowing that that person could have moved other payments around, literally cost him what he got back in premium, 4 or 5K,
right.
Literally cost him $96,000.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Literally, and then, the example I gave you with that particular person wanted to buy a house. You know what I mean? They waited a year and a half for playing around, doing this and procrastinating, when in theory, they would have got a house a year and a half prior to, and that same house that they were looking at cost $25,000 more plus overbidding. They lost out on 60 grand just by procrastinating. You know what I mean? So that's where you connect the pieces, where it ties into how we spend. It ties into how we live our daily lives. We procrastinate with a lot of things. Even the concept of never opening up your mail concept. You got a bill, and just because you don't open it up, you act as if it doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Little stuff like that.
I don't be opening up my mail neither. I ain't gonna lie. I'm bad with that shit. I hardly check my physical mailbox, bro. That shit is a real problem.
Right.
And she got to be like, yo, did you check your mail? Did you get your package? And I'm like, nah, I didn't. Oh, my bad. I got to go.
Right.
Like checking the mail first, because it's like I'm all about digital. I'm all about email. So it's like when it comes to checking physical mailbox, it's like,
Right.
But, and the crazy part is like the where your packages come, like from Amazon, is separate from where your mail comes. So I'll go to Amazon packages all the time, but I probably won't get my mail as quickly. You get what I'm saying? It's crazy. That's I'm dealing with the Zeigarnik theory in my own life. My mail and shit. That's crazy.
Yes, I changed the name to the right name, so we good.
Thank you.
Crazy.
But I was looking this shit up. I'm like, this is not coming up. It's crazy. Yeah, but time is money. So procrastination is definitely going to cost you. It's definitely going to cost you, because I'm sure all of us wish we probably would have invested in Netflix back in the day, like, or Yahoo or Google or whatever the fuck. Like, I'm sure all of us wish that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's procrastination and not allocating the funds when you should have. Like, if I certain things I knew, if I had known that I know now, nigga, y'all probably wouldn't even know me.
Right.
You know, like, y'all probably wouldn't know me because my family would be in a different position. Like everything, like stocks would have been different, real estate would have been different. Like everything would have been kind of different because of what you know compared to what you know now. So it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, procrastination is definitely a thing that we need to look into as people, because like you say, like we don't really consider. I mean, there's a couple of things that I need to do as far as like, creating a trust and certain other things that we need to do with our like this intellectual property, right? Needs to be put in a trust. And I haven't done that yet. I have certain things that need to be done with my lawyer and all this other shit. And, it's crazy because I could get hit by a bus today and all that shit will be up in the air, and that's not good. You see what I'm saying? So that's life, man. You gotta stop procrastinating and do the shit that needs to get done. It's crazy.
I think people don't have a sense of urgency, right? And the reason being is because they feel like everything is just going to be here forever. They feel like they have unlimited amount of time to do certain stuff, right? So I remember I was in the hospital, several months ago, right? They had this one thing that'll give you a sense of urgency is when you're reminded sometimes how close death is. You appreciate life more. You start utilizing things a lot faster, and pay attention to time. Reason being is because I'm laying in the bed with I forgot what the exact medical term is, but it's like a mask, right? And this mask, it basically helps you breathe. So you know it's real when you're consciously thinking about how to breathe. Just think about it for a second, guys. We breathe naturally, right? You don't think about breathing, you just do it. It's just something that's innately in you just to breathe. But think about inhaling and exhaling every couple of seconds. It's a different level of a mental capability that you have to have. Because now you know you're outside of the norm. This is outside of the norm now, right? So then when you survive that, it's an instant reminder of how precious life is, and you can't take a second for granted. And so when it comes to even, bring it back to the topic, when it comes to money, most people, they're procrastinating because they don't have that sense of urgency to do more, right? To part of it is their life, a part of it is their responsibility because they're adults, right? And the part of it also based off of society and how things are portrayed. So it's a lot of variables that play into why people are, they move slow when it comes to, money and the idea of it and having a relationship with money. Most people don't have that relationship with money. So it's one of them things where, one, go to legacybuilders.com and book that appointment so you can have a relationship with money by us doing your financial analysis, right? Make sure you go and do that. A free consultation. Yes, sir. Right. But outside of that, it's important to build that relationship with money because money is just a currency. It flows, right? And you have to understand that if you don't start to allow your money to work for you, even when you're sleeping, you're going to be working for the money for the rest of your life.
Right.
So and these concepts are important to understand because it's not just about you when it comes to money. It's about your family. It's about the next generation because the money is going to be here for generations to come. So then you have to understand that because that's the case, you have to, at some point, measure up to that and make sure that you yourself equate with that and make sure that you are finding ways to get additional income. You're finding ways to invest your money so that the money, and you, like I said, not being afraid to make it, is with you and your family. Most people are just afraid of it. And that's the concept that we have to, put aside. Like I said earlier, we can have different types of material, whether it's clothes, whether it's jewelry, whatever it is. But we'll still be broke. We're still living paycheck to paycheck. So then a lot of times it's the concepts that we're taught. It's the things that we're taught that's not good. We have to change our way of thinking. We have to change our mindset. And we have to read more books. We have to do something outside of the norm of what we already do. Why? Because what we already do isn't working.
Exactly. Right.
You get what I'm saying? So we have to find new ways. Okay, you know what? I've been doing this for 10, 15 years. It's not working. Let me try something new. And that's what it's about.
That's it. That's real shit. And I think too, again, what happens is, I think for most people, the reason why this kind of stuff happens, where the procrastination happens and everything, is deep down, people don't believe that they can accomplish what they want to accomplish. So then they procrastinate because if they try it and they don't accomplish what they want to accomplish, then it becomes a reality. And then they really feel like they're fucked, because this is the thing. It always feels good to say, well, if I do this and have the idea that it'll happen. But if you do it and it doesn't happen and you see it in reality doesn't happen, then it's confirmed that shit, I maybe don't know how to do this. Right. So people are scared of that. So the procrastination keeps you in a state of, being able to still think it can happen and sort of fantasize about it working if you wanted it to go down. So people like to stay in that zone. But the problem is when you stay in that zone, then nothing actually happens anyway. So you're still in place, even if you tried and nothing happened. Because this is the thing. If you try to do something and you have a misstep or things don't come out the way you expected to, at least you learn more than you did before. So you say, okay, well, it didn't happen this way. Maybe I can do it that way. Because there's another way that you can go around this. Or maybe you can say, hey, when I realized I was doing this, I noticed that I didn't like doing this particular part. or I realized that I wasn't really into this particular thing to make money, but I like this aspect of it. So let me try to make money this way with this aspect of it. You see what I'm saying? So, but again, you're not going to know that until you actually do the fucking thing. So all procrastination does is it slows up progress in multiple different ways. You see what I'm saying? Because you can't grow unless you actually do. And even if you make mistakes or things don't turn out how it is, you're still better off by doing it because now you're at a different level of understanding of certain things. So there's so many times where I've procrastinated to do something. I was like, fuck it, let me do it. And then I realized how much time I wasted not doing it. I was like, damn, I should have did this long ago. What the fuck? Why was I waiting to do this shit?
Yeah.
I'll do some shit. And then it's like, I get to a certain point of success, or I see something go down, and I'm like, you know what? I just realized now that I've done this, I don't want to do this shit like this no more. Or I want to do it. I want to go down this path or whatever. But I would have never known that I did the thing I was procrastinating with. So this is what I'm saying, where a lot of guys got to understand that it's important to take the action, because taking the action is going to get you closer to understanding yourself in a situation, or closer to the result you're trying to get. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, to your point, Ms. Locari, that's exactly it, is taking that initial action. And that's what people don't take. I mean, and to piggyback off what you said, you know, the key thing, you ever hear somebody say that's a cigarette smoker, like, oh yeah, I can stop at any time. You know what I mean? Like that's what we do all the time. Oh yeah, you're working at a job. Oh yeah, I could have easily been a manager, but yeah, I didn't want that headache. You know what I mean? Like I like money. I don't like money that much. But in the same breath, you broke. Like, you know what I mean? So why didn't you become a manager? So to your point, Mr. Locari, that's exactly what people do. You know what I mean? Those are perfect examples of people doing that all the time. Oh yeah, I can stop. Yeah, I can stop doing this. I can kick this habit. Then kick it then.
Right.
If you kick it, you'd be progressing way faster and getting to that point. And then finally, it's like, you know, in those same examples, somewhere where they say they become a manager or whatever the case is, or they get promoted by default, and like, oh shit, I really could have did this. Damn. To your point, why did I do this a long time ago?
Right.
This guy, this manager, supervisor wasn't even really doing much this whole entire time. Yeah, dummy, you could have did a long time yourself, but you kept procrastinating. So to your point, that's exactly how it happens. But the first step is actually taking that action, taking that first step, actually just getting started. And this ties into finances, it ties into health, it ties into everything that we do on a regular daily basis. And they all intertwine, and they all cost you money at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You know, even the point you brought up, Miles, with the package. Now, if you lose that package and you don't look for that package for a while, you probably have a window where you could tell Amazon where, hey, if you didn't look in a certain time, you lost that package. Now you lost that money. You can't get a refund if you wait too long. Like, all these things play a role at the end of the day with that theory. You know, is my point. You know,
I think I would say that when it comes to the psychology of money, money is something that attracts you, right? It's not something, because most people want to chase it. We have to let these things, because I believe in the law of attraction, right? So in order for the things that I want to come into my life, I have to already live my life as if those things are already here. It's like, take like a boxer, for example, right? You know, HBO or Netflix is not going to, you know, you're not going to call HBO or Netflix, say, hey, I'm a boxer, I'm ready to, you know, box for your production. No, they're going to call you because you've been training for the past 15 years. You've been undefeated. They'll call you. You know, so from that perspective, people have to understand they have to start doing things and putting certain things in place in order for the money to be attracted to them. That's what it's about too.
Put me on full screen, please. Take a look at this shit real quick. This is kind of what we're talking about. Look, 93% of people are just gonna stand there and dribble the ball.
That's crazy.
Are gonna miss the shot and then, like, you know, get all upset and shit. 1% of people is gonna keep shooting until they make it.
Keep shooting.
You see? That's crazy, right?
Now that's very funny. As far as also the psychology of making money too, is and also too what you were saying, Kalim, about like Netflix to hit you up is and shout out to Satan the Sinner. I remember he said this once on his show. He said He said people usually. He said I'm paraphrasing, but he said people say it's about who you know, but he was like, it's not really about who you know. It's about who knows you. You see what I'm saying? So that goes with what you're saying too, in that sense of you're doing what you do, and then because you do what you do, you surround yourself with opportunity and shit. Now the thing is with the psychology of money is that of making money is that I think the problem too sometimes happens is that the reason why people can't make a lot of money or just make as much money as they want is because low key most people don't realize how much money there is out there. To me, you know, like I was reading, I forgot which company that I was looking at, and I forgot exactly what company it was, but they was making $65 million a month in their company. You feel what I'm saying? So a month, that's just 1 month, 65 million. So the thing is, and then you have people that's making like billions of dollars, you know what I'm saying? Like crazy, like, so there's so much money to be made, right? But the thing is that if your psychology or if your thought is that money is hard to get because you're still in the thought of, you know, getting time for money, then it's going to be hard to be able to get to that point to understand it can make. Because like even I was watching this dude named Myron Golden. I don't know if y'all know about that guy, but he be talking about business and everything. And he was he basically said he charges $40,000. I think he said $40,000 an hour for coaching, like consultations and shit. But I think he probably works with like businesses or richer people that have that type of money. But either way, basically, if you were charging $40,000 an hour, and let's say you had 3 hours with 3 different people, you understand what I'm saying? That's a lot of money for 3 hours with 3 people. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is that he had to already have it in his mindset that that's possible to even make or happen for him to say, I'm going to charge this much to put it out there in order for somebody like you said, Kaleem, to be able to come to you to want to make that happen. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is, in his mind first, he had to think that was possible to even do that. So who in their mind thinks, oh, because if you tell people, listen, I'm going to charge niggas $40,000 an hour, everybody will look at you like, what? You crazy? That's some bullshit, bro. They ain't never going to happen. You stupid. 99.99% of people going to say, what the fuck? Fuck out of here. But if you think about it, you say, well, there's a company making $65 million a month.
A month.
You think that they can't afford $40,000 for an hour? You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying, where it's like, if you know what I'm saying? You can really like stack your shit and get shit cracking. But again, that starts with the mindset first to even understand that making that amount of money is even possible. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing, is that people don't think it's possible. Now, again, it's not to say that it's easy, but if it's possible, that's all you need to do. You feel what I'm saying? If it's easy or not, is it possible? And if the answer is yes, then what the fuck it's like, why procrastinate when you can like go do that? And again, most people won't even think to make that much money. So it's like a motherfucker would be scared to make $1,000 in an hour. They be like, no one's gonna pay me $1 for an hour. But see, that's the mindset of people, because making $10 an hour all the time. So you got to get to that point. Mindset could even see that it's possible or know that it's believable. And that comes with also, I think, being around the right people who are talking like this.
Right. Absolutely.
Because if you're around all the people who've never even done this or even thought about it, everyone's gonna pull you down when you said I can do them, like, nah, that can't happen. And then it's gonna seep into your subconscious, and that's what's gonna make you procrastinate. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the mindset is serious, man. It's serious. But any last things you guys want to say before we wrap it up?
Another thing I want to say is we got our event again in New Jersey coming up. It's gonna be Greenbrook, New Jersey, April 19th, Saturday, Easter weekend. Come out. It's gonna be food, drinks. Go to the website www.legacybuildersus.com. Go ahead and purchase your ticket and come out. The other thing is stop procrastinating. Don't let this theory take you over. Go ahead and go to the site and let us build that relationship with money with you, and go over your finances so you can take those steps to get you in the right place you need to be and want to be.
Fact. Real talk.
So yeah, last thing I'll say is that if people don't have transportation, if you're in New York, we actually have a Sprinter van that's going to Greenbrook, New Jersey. So if you don't have transportation from New York to New Jersey, still come through. Yeah, there's no excuse for you not to come through. So we have that on deck, all right? Yes, just make sure you come through. All right.
Definitely.
So guys, man, that's pretty much it, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will holler at y'all later. Remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. We going. We out. Peace.